Han stood at his desk in the Seoul Advanced Research Center, staring at the strange pattern on his computer screen. For 3 days straight, the signal had repeated itself every 6 hours. At first, he thought it was just space noise, but now he was sure. This was something different. "Son, you need to see this," he called to his sister, who worked in the military wing next door. Within minutes, Son walked into his office, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. "What am I looking at?" she asked, leaning over his shoulder. "A pattern. It's too regular to be natural. Look at how it repeats exactly every 6 hours." Han pointed to the waves on his screen. "And it's getting stronger." Son frowned. She hadn't seen her brother this excited since he got his quantum physics award last year. "Have you told anyone else?" "Not yet. I wanted you to be the first to know." Han typed quickly, bringing up more data. I think we're not alone anymore." Within hours, other research centers around the world reported the same signal. The Chinese picked it up first, then the Americans, and soon every major observatory was tracking it. The signal was growing stronger by the hour. Kai, their childhood friend and now the head of technology analysis, joined them that evening. The three sat in Han's office, drinking coffee and watching the signal strength increase. "It's definitely artificial," Kai said, studying the data. "The pattern is too perfect. Someone out there wants to talk." The next morning, as the sun rose over Seoul, the signal changed. Instead of the simple pattern, it began broadcasting numbers. Simple mathematics at first. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Prime numbers that any advanced civilization would recognize. Han worked non-stop with his team, feeding the numbers into their quantum computers. "They're teaching us their language," he explained to Sun and Kai. "Starting with math, then basic concepts, and finally." He didn't need to finish. Within 3 days, the first messages came through. They called themselves the Visitors, and they were coming to Earth. The world's governments tried to keep it quiet, but how do you hide something this big? When the Visitors' ship appeared near the moon, shining brighter than any star, the secret was out. People around the world stepped outside their homes, looking up at the sky in wonder and fear. Han, Sun, and Kai watched from the research center's roof as the ship moved closer to Earth. It was massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built, and it moved with impossible grace. "They're advanced," Kai whispered, recording everything with his special cameras. "Look at how they control gravity itself." The first broadcast from the Visitors came at noon, Seoul time. Their message played on every screen, every phone, and every computer around the world. "People of Earth, we come in peace. Your civilization has reached a crucial point in its development. We offer our guidance and protection as your new guardians." Sun's military training made her suspicious. "Guardians? We never asked for guardians." "They think we're primitive," Han said, noticing the condescending tone in the message. "They see us as children who need protection." Kai nodded, still recording. "They're underestimating us, all our technology, our achievements. They think we're simple because we haven't mastered space travel yet." More ships appeared over the next few days, positioning themselves above major cities. The Visitors spoke of peace and protection, but Sun saw how their ships always kept their weapons pointed toward Earth. In his lab, Han studied the little data they could gather about the alien ships. "Their technology is amazing," he admitted to his sister and Kai, "but they're making a big mistake." "What's that?" Kai asked, looking up from his analysis. "They think technical advancement is everything. They don't understand human creativity, our ability to adapt." Han smiled, but there was worry in his eyes. "They see our technology and think they know everything about us." Sun looked out the window at the massive ship hovering over Seoul. "Let them think that," she said quietly. "It might be our only advantage." As night fell over Seoul, the three friends watched more ships arrive, each one larger than the last. They didn't know it yet, But humanity's greatest test was about to begin, and the visitors were about to learn that technological superiority wasn't everything. 1 month after the visitors arrived, Earth had changed. Their ships now seemed normal in the sky, like floating metal cities. They called themselves peacekeepers, but Sun didn't trust them one bit. The visitors had set up their main base just outside Seoul. They chose Korea because of its advanced technology sector, they said. But Han knew it was really because they wanted to keep an eye on Asia's fastest-growing economies. "Look at this," Ki said one morning, walking into Han's lab with a small silver box. It was one of the visitors' many gifts to Earth. They had been giving these technologies to different research centers around the world. "They say it's a medical scanner." Han looked up from his work. "Another gift. That's the third this week." Kai placed the box on Han's desk and pulled out his tools. The visitors had warned them not to take apart their gifts, but Ki never listened to such rules. As he carefully opened the device, his eyes widened. "Han, you need to see this," Ki whispered, even though they were alone in the lab. "Look at this small crystal in the corner. It's not part of the scanner." Han leaned closer. Inside the silver box, barely visible, sat a tiny purple crystal that pulsed with a faint light. "What is it?" "A monitoring device," Ki said grimly. "I found similar crystals in every gift they've given us. They're watching everything we do." Sun joined them later that day. She had been busy organizing Earth's military forces, though the visitors didn't know this. They thought she was just a regular military officer. "All the world's armies are ready," she told her brother quietly. "We're training in secret, underground where their ships can't scan us. But we need to be careful. They're everywhere now." Han nodded. He had noticed how the visitors always seemed to know where important meetings were happening. Ki found surveillance devices in their gifts. "They're spying on us." "I knew it," Sun said, her face hard. "They talk about peace and protection, but they treat us like we can't be trusted." That afternoon, the visitors called a global meeting. Their leader, who called himself the Guide, appeared on screens worldwide. He was tall and silver-skinned, with eyes that seemed to look right through you. "People of Earth," the Guide said, his voice smooth and calm, "we are pleased with your progress. As a reward for your cooperation, we will now share more advanced technology with you." The announcement should have made people happy. Instead, Han noticed how quiet everyone became. The visitors' gifts always came with rules, strict rules about how they could be used. In his lab that night, Han worked on his own project. While the visitors thought he was studying their gifts, he was actually developing something else, a new kind of quantum communication system that they couldn't detect. Kai came in late, carrying more broken-down alien devices. "Their technology is amazing," he admitted. "But look at how they build things. They never expect anyone to fight back. No defenses against simple attacks. They think we're too primitive to be a threat." Sun added, walking in with fresh coffee for everyone. "Their arrogance is their weakness." Han smiled as his quantum device blinked to life. "Let them think that. While they're busy watching their surveillance crystals, we'll be preparing." "For what?" Ki asked, though he already knew the answer. "For the day they stop pretending to be our friends," Sun said. "They're not here to help us. No one travels across space just to be nice." As they talked, more visitor ships arrived in Earth's orbit. They said it was for protection, but Sun's military training told her otherwise. They were positioning themselves for something big. "We should be grateful for their gifts," Han said loudly, knowing the surveillance crystals were listening. But his eyes told a different story as he showed Sun and Ki his working quantum communicator, a device the visitors thought humans were too primitive to build. Outside, the alien ships glowed in the night sky, beautiful but threatening. The visitors thought they had Earth under control. They didn't realize that humans were already preparing for the day when their true intentions would be revealed. And when that day came, the visitors would learn that their primitive humans were far more dangerous than they thought. The truth came 3 months after the visitors arrived. It started as a normal morning at the Seoul Advanced Research Center, but Han knew something was wrong when he saw 6 visitor ships moving into position above the city. "They're doing this everywhere," Sun said, rushing into his lab. Her uniform was wrinkled. She hadn't slept all night. "Every major city on Earth. They're surrounding us." Ki joined them minutes later, carrying his tablet. "You need to see this. I cracked one of their secure messages last night." His hand shook as he played the recording. The guide's voice filled the room. "Phase 1 is complete. The humans suspect nothing. Their primitive technology cannot detect our real weapons. Begin Phase 2. Full planetary submission." Han's quantum computers started beeping wildly. "They're powering up something big," he said, checking the readings. "All their ships, all at once." The visitors didn't wait long to reveal their true plans. At exactly noon, their ships projected massive screens in the sky above every city. The guide's face appeared, but this time his kind smile was gone. "People of Earth," he said coldly, "your trial period is over. We have studied your civilization and found it lacking. You will now submit to full control under our empire. This is not a request." In the lab, Sun grabbed her phone. "My soldiers are ready," she whispered. "We knew this was coming." The guide continued. "Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are useless against us. Submit now, and we will be merciful rulers." Kai laughed suddenly, surprising Han and Sun. "Primitive? Really?" He held up one of the alien devices he had taken apart. "Their tech isn't that special once you understand it. They just never thought we could." Han nodded, walking to a covered machine in the corner of his lab. He pulled off the sheet, revealing a complex quantum device. "They think we're stuck in the past, playing with simple atoms and electricity." "What is that?" The guide's voice boomed again from outside. "All your technology should be disabled by now." Han smiled. His quantum communication system was still working perfectly, untouched by the visitors' attacks. On his screen, he could see messages from research centers around the world, all still connected through his quantum network. "They don't understand quantum physics like we do," Han explained to Sun and Ki. "They went a different way with their technology. They think their path is the only path." Sun's phone buzzed with messages from her secret military network. "All our hidden bases are safe," she reported. "Their scans never found them. We're ready to fight back." Outside, the guide was getting angry. His silver face turned dark as he realized his power wasn't working as planned. "Your machine should not be working. This is impossible." "Should we tell them?" Ki asked, grinning as he typed on his tablet. "Should we tell them how many of their systems have already gotten into?" Han shook his head. "Let them keep thinking we're primitive. It's our best advantage right now." The visitors tried to show their power. Their ships fired warning shots into empty areas outside cities. The energy beams were impressive, but Sun just smiled. "Look at how they waste energy," she said. "All flash, no efficiency. They're showing off because they think it will scare us." The world's leaders sent their answer to the visitors' demand. No, Earth would not submit. The guide's face turned almost black with rage. "Then you leave us no choice," he growled. "We will show you what real power is." As the guide's face vanished from the sky, Han, Sun, and Ki looked at each other. They had prepared for this moment. "Send the signal," Sun told her brother. "Tell everyone it's time." Han pressed a button on his quantum computer. Around the world, hidden human forces got ready. The visitors thought they were starting a simple conquest. Instead, they had just started a war against an enemy they completely misunderstood. "They think they know everything about us," Han said, watching the alien ships through his window. "That's exactly why they're going to lose." The visitors attacked at dawn. Their first target wasn't military bases or government buildings. It was Earth's communication systems. In seconds, regular phones, internet, and satellites went dead. But Han was ready for this. "They really think we rely only on satellites." he said, watching his quantum communication network light up across his screens. All around the world, hidden human bases were talking to each other through his untraceable system. Sun burst into the lab, carrying battle maps on her tablet. "All military groups are connected through your quantum net," she reported. "The visitors can't hear us. They don't even know we're talking." Outside, the visitors' ships filled the sky. They looked different now. Their beautiful silver surfaces had transformed into threatening weapon platforms. Energy beams shot down from the ships, hitting communication towers and power stations. But something was wrong. The visitors seemed confused. Why are they still organized? The guide's angry voice boomed from the ships. Their primitive technology should be useless now. Kai laughed as he worked at his computer. "They still think we're primitive," he said, typing quickly. "Look at this. I'm inside their network. Their security is good against their kind of tech, but they never guard it against simple human coding." Han's quantum computer beeped with an incoming message. It was from the hidden base under the mountains, where Earth's leaders had gathered safely weeks ago. The message was simple: begin Operation Surprise. Sun smiled as she read it. "All units are in position," she said. "They're waiting for my signal." The visitors continued their attack, growing more frustrated as Earth's resistance remained organized. They didn't know about the bunkers deep underground, built in secret while they thought humans were just accepting their gifts. "Now," Sun said into her quantum communicator, "all units, attack." At that moment, hidden doors opened in mountains and hills around the world. Military vehicles rolled out, not the old ones the visitors had seen, but new ones, built with a mix of human innovation and reversed-engineered alien tech. "Impossible." The guide's voice shook with rage. "Those vehicles have our technology." "Key," Sun said, nodding to her friend. "Show them what else we can do." Kay pressed a button on his tablet. Across the world, the visitors' ships suddenly lost power in certain weapon systems. Not all. Key couldn't hack everything, but enough to make a difference. "How?" the guide demanded. "You cannot understand our systems." Han watched through his lab window as the first battles began. The visitors had more advanced weapons, but Earth's forces had surprise and creativity on their side. Humans had trained for this, preparing strategies the visitors couldn't expect. "Their ships are powered by simple fusion," Han explained to his sister. "They never developed quantum technology because their way worked fine for them. They don't understand what we can do with it." Earth's weapons might have looked simple to the visitors, but they worked in ways the aliens had never seen. Human missiles phased through alien shields. Ground vehicles appeared and disappeared using quantum tunneling. Communication remained unbroken despite the visitors' best efforts to silence Earth. "We're not winning yet," Sun warned, watching the battles on her screens. "But we're surviving. That's more than they thought we could do." Key kept working at his computer, breaking into more alien systems. "They made everything so complicated," he said. "Sometimes simple is better." They'd never guarded against basic attacks because they thought we were too primitive to try. The first day of battle ended with neither side winning. The visitors had lost their easy victory, and their ships pulled back to higher orbits to regroup. They had expected to win in hours. Instead, they faced an enemy that refused to give up. In his lab, Han kept working on his quantum systems, making them stronger. "They thought destroying our regular communications would leave us helpless," he said. "They never imagined we had something better." As night fell, the visitors' ships glowed angry red in the sky. But across the world, humans were organizing, fighting back, and proving that being underestimated could be their greatest weapon. 1 week into the war, Key made a breakthrough. He ran through the halls of the underground research center, clutching a broken piece of alien technology in his hands. "Han, Sun," he shouted, bursting into the quantum lab. "Look what I found in their crashed ship." The piece looked simple, just a curved piece of metal with strange marks. But Key's eyes were bright with excitement as he put it on Han's desk. "It's part of their shield generator," Key explained, pulling up diagrams on his tablet. "I've been studying it for 3 days straight. Their shields aren't energy fields like we thought. They're time bubbles." Han looked up from his quantum computers. "Time bubbles? You mean they're slowing down time around their ships?" "Exactly." Key pointed to the strange marks. "These aren't decoration. They're time crystals. The visitors think they're the only ones who understand time technology. But we've been working with time crystals in quantum physics for years," Han finished, suddenly understanding. He turned to his sister. "Son, this changes everything." Sun stepped closer, looking at the alien device. After a week of battles, she looked tired but determined. "Explain it simply," she said. "How does this help us?" Key grabbed a marker and drew on the lab's whiteboard. "Their shields work by slowing down time. Anything that hits them takes thousands of years to get through. That's why our regular weapons don't work. But quantum particles don't follow normal time rules," Han added, getting excited. "They can tunnel through time, just like they tunnel through space." Sun smiled for the first time in days. "So we can hit them." "Better than that," Key said. "I can make their shields work against them. The time bubbles go both ways. They also slow down their weapons coming out." The next few days were a blur of activity. While the visitors regrouped in orbit, thinking they had humans on the run, the three friends worked non-stop in their lab. Han modified his quantum communication system to send special particles through the time bubbles. Key rebuilt captured alien weapons to work with human quantum technology. Sun coordinated with military bases around the world, preparing them for the new strategy. "The visitors think time only moves one way," Han explained to a group of scientists. "They never tried to think differently. That's why they don't understand quantum physics. It breaks their simple rules." Finally, after 4 days of work, they were ready. Sun gave the signal to all Earth's forces. Operation Time Twist is go. The visitors never saw it coming. Their ships descended toward Earth's cities, ready to continue their attack. But this time, something was different. Human weapons shot strange-looking energy bolts, a mix of quantum particles and reversed alien technology. When these hit the visitors' time bubble shields, they didn't stop. Instead, they tunneled through time itself, appearing inside the shields as if they'd been there for thousands of years. "Impossible." The guide's voice boomed across the sky. "Your weapons cannot pierce our time fields. You are too primitive to understand time manipulation." Kai laughed as he watched from the lab screens. "Maybe we should explain quantum tunneling to them," he joked. "Or should we let them keep thinking we're primitive?" The battles that followed were unlike anything Earth had seen. The visitors' ships tried to adjust their shields, but they couldn't understand how humans were getting through. Every change they made, Key found a way around it. "They're so focused on their way of doing things," Han said, watching the fights. "They never stopped to think there might be other ways." By the end of the day, 3 visitor ships had crashed. It wasn't a big victory. They had hundreds more. But it proved something important. The visitors could be hurt. In the lab that night, Sun looked at the new battle reports. "We're still outnumbered," she said. "Still outgunned. But now we can fight back." Han nodded, working on more quantum weapons. "And the best part? They still think we're just getting lucky. They still don't understand what we can really do." Outside, the sky flashed with battles between human quantum weapons and alien time bubbles. The visitors had wanted an easy victory over primitive humans. Instead, they were learning that sometimes the simple answer wasn't the only answer. 2 weeks into the war, Earth was ready for its biggest attack yet. In underground bases around the world, soldiers prepared their new quantum weapons. In orbit, the visitors still hadn't figured out how humans were getting through their shields. "All units report ready," Sun said, looking at her quantum display in the command center. She had moved her operations from the lab to a hidden military base under the mountains. Han and Key worked beside her, surrounded by screens showing battles around the world. "The visitors have gathered most of their ships over Asia. Key reported, pointing to his radar display. They think we're weakest here because we lost some cities. They don't know about our underground bases. Han checked his quantum network one last time. All weapons are connected. Every soldier can communicate. We're ready. Sun took a deep breath and pressed the button on her communicator. All forces, begin Operation Quantum Strike. The attack started slowly. Small groups of human fighters appeared from hidden bases, attacking the visitors' ships with quantum weapons. The aliens responded exactly as Sun had predicted. They sent more ships to crush these small attacks. They're falling for it, Sun said, watching the alien ships move. They still think we're primitive, that we can only attack in small groups. But this time was different. As the visitors grouped their ships together, Han activated his newest invention, a quantum field generator that covered whole cities. Now, Sun commanded. All at once, human forces emerged from everywhere, from underground bases, from hidden mountain bunkers, from underwater facilities. Each group carried weapons powered by Han's quantum technology and improved with Key's understanding of alien systems. The visitors were caught by surprise. Their ships tried to use their time bubble shields, but human weapons phased right through them. They tried to jam human communications, but Han's quantum network stayed strong. How are they doing this? The guide's angry voice boomed from the ships. They are nothing but primitives playing with toys they don't understand. Kai laughed as he worked at his computer. They still don't get it, he said. Look, they're trying to strengthen their time bubbles. They don't understand we're not hitting them through time anymore. We're going around it. The battle raged across the sky. The visitors had more ships and stronger weapons, but humans had the element of surprise. Every time the visitors thought they knew what humans would do, Earth's forces did something completely different. Their biggest weakness, Han explained as he watched, is thinking there's only one right way to do things. They never try new ideas. In orbit, something amazing happened. A group of human fighters, using Kai's modified alien technology, managed to board one of the visitors' main ships. The aliens inside were shocked. They had never thought humans could get past their defenses. We have control of their ship, the human commander reported through the quantum network. Their systems are just like Key said, complicated, but not very well protected. The captured ship turned out to be full of important information. The visitors had detailed plans for conquering Earth, but they had never planned for serious resistance. They thought humans would give up as soon as they saw advanced technology. Look at this, he said, reading the data from the captured ship. They've never lost a war before. They've conquered 30 other worlds. But all of those worlds just gave up when they saw the visitors' technology. Sun smiled as she watched more human victories on her screens. Well, they picked the wrong planet this time. By the end of the day, humans had destroyed 20 visitor ships and captured 2 more. It wasn't enough to win the war. The visitors still had hundreds of ships. But it was enough to prove something important. Humans weren't going to be conquered easily. In the command center, Han worked on more quantum weapons while Kai studied the captured alien technology. Sun coordinated with forces around the world, preparing for the next battle. They called us primitive, Han said, looking at the smoke trails in the sky where visitor ships had fallen. But maybe being primitive just means we think differently. And maybe that's our greatest strength. 3 weeks into the war, Key made another important discovery. He was studying messages from the captured visitor ships when he noticed something strange. Han, Sun, he called out, waving them over to his computer. Look at these messages. Some of the visitors are arguing with each other. The 3 friends gathered around Key's screen in the command center. The messages showed that not all visitors agreed with the guide's war on Earth. This group here, Key pointed to some text, they're saying we're too dangerous to fight. They want to leave Earth alone. And this other group thinks we should be treated as equals. Sun read the messages carefully. Can we use this? She asked. Can we talk to these friendly visitors? Kay nodded excitedly. I think so. I found their private communication channels. We can send them messages through the quantum network. Han thought for a moment. The guide won't like this, he said. He still thinks we're primitives who got lucky in battle. He won't want his people talking to us. Exactly, Sun smiled. That's why we should do it. They worked through the night, writing messages to the friendly visitors. Key used his knowledge of alien technology to make sure the guide couldn't intercept their communications. The next morning, they got their first reply. A visitor named Tel, one of their scientists, wanted to talk. Your quantum technology is fascinating, Tel's message said. We have never seen anything like it. The guide is wrong. You are not primitive at all. More messages came from other visitors. Many of them were scientists and engineers who were amazed by human quantum physics. They had never thought to combine quantum science with their time technology. The guide doesn't understand. Another visitor named Raoul wrote, different doesn't mean primitive. Your way of thinking is just different from ours. But the guide soon found out about these secret talks. He was furious. Traitors. His voice boomed across the sky. Any visitor who talks to these primitives will be punished. They are beneath us. But it was too late. More and more visitors were questioning the guide's decisions. They had seen humans fight back in ways they never expected. They had watched their primitive enemies defeat their best technology. Look what's happening, Key said, showing Han and Sun his screens. 3 visitor ships just left Earth. They're refusing to fight. The guide tried to keep control, but doubt was spreading through his fleet. Some visitors started sharing their technology with humans willingly, helping Key understand their systems better. We were wrong about you, Tel told them in another message. We thought because you were less advanced in space travel, you must be less advanced in everything. We were foolish. Sun used this confusion to plan more attacks. While the visitors argued among themselves, human forces struck their weakened positions. More ships fell, and more visitors started questioning the guide. He told us this would be easy, one captured visitor told Kai. He said you would surrender as soon as you saw our power. But you humans, you're different from any species we've met. In the command center, Han worked with Tel and other friendly visitors to combine quantum physics with alien technology. Together, they created new devices that neither humans nor visitors could have made alone. This is how it should have been from the start, Tel said during a video call. Working together, learning from each other. The guide was wrong to treat you as inferiors. The guide was losing control. More ships deserted every day, and those that stayed were divided. Some still wanted to conquer Earth, but others were starting to see humans as equals. Keep watching, Sun told her soldiers as she prepared for another battle. The guide's biggest mistake wasn't underestimating our technology. It was underestimating our ability to make friends with his own people. Outside, the sky was changing. Visitor ships still filled the air. But now you could tell which ones were friendly by the quantum shields Han had helped them build. The war wasn't over, but for the first time, humans weren't fighting alone. 1 month into the war, the guide faced his biggest challenge yet. More than half of his fleet had either left Earth or joined the friendly visitors. Now his own leaders back home were asking questions. In the underground command center, Sun received an important message from telephone. The High Council wants to talk, she told Han and Ki. They're the ones who rule all visitor worlds. Why now? Han asked. Looking up from his work, he was helping friendly visitors upgrade their ships with quantum technology. Because we're winning, Ki said with a smile. Look at these numbers. The guide has lost more ships in 1 month on Earth than the visitors lost in 100 years of conquering other worlds. The High Council arranged a meeting. They would send representatives to Earth to talk with human leaders. The guide was ordered to stop all attacks until the meeting was over. They're coming here. Sun asked Tel through the quantum communicator. To Earth. Yes, Tel replied. They want to see humans for themselves. The guide told them you were primitives, but our reports tell a different story. The meeting was set for the next day. Earth's leaders would meet the High Council in a special room built with both human and visitor technology. Han made sure the quantum network was ready, and Key checked all security systems. When the High Council arrived, they were surprised by what they saw. They had expected simple rooms and basic technology. Instead, they found a meeting place that perfectly mixed human and visitor science. "Welcome to Earth," Sun said as the council members entered. She stood with Han and Key beside Earth's political leaders. "We're glad you came to talk." The council members looked different from regular visitors. They wore special robes that shifted colors, and their silver skin seemed to glow. But what surprised everyone was how they acted. They were curious, not superior. "We have made a serious mistake," the head counselor said. "The guide told us you were primitive beings who needed our rule, but we see now that he was wrong." Key showed them how humans had learned to use visitor technology. Han explained how quantum physics worked differently from their time science. Sun described how Earth's armies had adapted and fought back. "In all our years of space travel," another council member said, "we've never met a species like humans. You don't just copy technology, you find new ways to use it." The guide was called to the meeting. He looked smaller now, less powerful. His silver skin had turned almost gray. "You told us humans were simple creatures," the head counselor said to him. "You said they would surrender quickly. Instead, they have proved to be our equals, perhaps even our superiors in some ways. But they're primitive." The guide protested. "Look at their cities, they're simple machines." "Simple," Key laughed. He pressed a button, and the room filled with holograms showing human quantum technology. "We just think differently from you. Different doesn't mean primitive." The council members spent hours learning about Earth. They were amazed by human art, music, and creativity. They were impressed by how quickly humans learned and adapted. "We came to judge if humans deserve to be free," the head counselor announced at the end of the meeting. "Instead, we must ask if we deserve to be their friends." The guide was removed from his position. The council ordered all hostile ships to leave Earth immediately. Those visitors who wanted to stay and work with humans could do so. "This is a historic day," Tel said, standing with Han, Sun, and Kai. "For the first time, the visitors aren't conquering a world, we're asking to be allies." Outside, the sky was clearing. Hostile ships were leaving, while friendly ones remained to help rebuild what the war had damaged. Earth had not just survived. It had changed how an entire alien civilization thought about other worlds. "They thought they were coming to teach us," Han said, watching the ships leave. "Instead, they learned something about themselves." Sun smiled as she looked at the new future taking shape. Sometimes the best way to win a war isn't just by fighting. Sometimes you win by showing others a better way. 6 months after the visitors first arrived on Earth, everything had changed. The war was over, and a new peace treaty was being signed in the same room where the High Council had met with Earth's leaders. Han stood with Sun and Key, watching as human and visitor representatives signed the historic document. Tel stood nearby, now serving as the main ambassador between the two species. "Did you ever think this would happen?" Key asked, looking around the room. "When they first arrived, I mean. Did you think we'd end up here?" Sun shook her head. "I was preparing for a long war. Instead, we found new friends. The treaty was special. It didn't just make peace. It made Earth an equal partner in the Visitor Alliance. Humans would join their space council, sharing technology and knowledge with other worlds. This is the first time we've had equals join us," Tel explained to them. "Usually, worlds either fight us and lose, or submit and become our colonies. Earth showed us a better way." After the signing, Han gave the council members a tour of his new research center. It wasn't underground anymore. It was in a tall building in Seoul, with windows looking out at the city where human and visitor ships now flew together peacefully. "We're combining quantum physics with time technology," Han explained, showing them his latest work. "Things neither of us could do alone, we can do together." The council members were impressed. In just 6 months, humans and friendly visitors had created amazing new technologies. ships that could jump through space using quantum tunnels, medical devices that mixed time fields with human biology, communications that worked instantly across any distance. And this is just the beginning, Key added. He was working with visitor engineers, teaching them about human computer systems while learning about alien technology. Every day we find new ways to work together. Sun had a new job too. She was in charge of Earth's first space defense force, working with both humans and visitors to protect their world from any future threats. The guide was wrong about us being primitive. She told a group of young human and visitor students. But he taught us something important. Never judge others by how different they are from you. The changes weren't just in big things like technology and spaceships. All over Earth, humans and visitors were learning from each other. Visitor artists were amazed by human music and painting. Human scientists were excited by alien ideas about time and space. "Look at this," Key said, showing Han and Sun his tablet. On the screen, a human child was teaching a young visitor how to play soccer, while the visitor showed the human how to make objects float with time fields. Tell joined them, watching the children play. "The guide thought being advanced meant having the best technology," he said. "But you humans taught us that real advancement means being open to new ideas." Han nodded. "And you taught us that we didn't have to face the universe alone. Sometimes the best discoveries come from working together." Outside, the sun was setting over Seoul. The sky was filled with lights from both human and visitor vehicles. In the distance, a new spaceport was being built, Earth's first step into becoming a real space-traveling world. "Next week, the first human ships will visit other worlds," Sun said proudly. "Not as conquerors or as servants, but as equals." Kai laughed. "Remember when they thought we were primitive? Now they're copying our quantum technology while we learn about their time fields." The three friends stood together, watching their new world take shape. The visitors had come to Earth thinking they would find simple creatures who needed their guidance. Instead, they found equals who showed them a new way of thinking. "So what's next?" Tell asked them. Han smiled, looking at the stars that now seemed closer than ever. "That's the best part," he said. "For the first time, humans and visitors will discover what's next together." The story of how humanity proved itself wasn't just about winning a war. It was about showing that different didn't mean primitive, that strength could come from unexpected places, and that the best future was one where everyone worked together as equals.